Matt Carpenter is the newest Cardinal. He was just recalled today from Memphis. Carlos Zambrano will pitch on Sunday. And Tony La Russa, no stranger to this great rivalry with the Chicago Cubs. Welcome to Cardinal Baseball on Fox Sports Midwest from Busch Stadium. The Cubs in town for a weekend series. The Cardinals hoping to rebound after losing 3 out of 4 to the San Francisco Giants. Welcome to the telecast. Rick Horton alongside Al Raboski. And Al, these Chicago Cubs have not been very kind to the Cardinals here in St. Louis of late.
They really have not. The Cardinals have lost the last 5 games. They were just totally outplayed, outpitched, and outhit. And really, how stinging was it? Remember the Cardinals last year came back from Cincinnati where they swept, were in first place, and then Zambrano and the Cubs ended their season.
We're going to take a look at our pitching matchup. From St. Louis, Ryan Dempster, the veteran, and Jaime Garcia looking to rebound. Our pitchers next. David Freese taking some ground balls in pregame practice. Would love to get a chance at Ryan Dempster. Let's take a look at our starters here tonight.
Well, Ryan Dempster, 3 times a 15-game winner, 2-time All-Star. Really got off to a rough start this year, pitching much better, but a struggle on the road. Jaime Garcia, his last time out was nothing but failure. But we know he's one of the best, so he'll have to put that aside, come out and pitch, and here at home he has been brilliant. Only 1 earned run in 30-plus innings.
Garcia looking for victory number 6. We'll have more from St. Louis, our 5 and 55, when we come back. Welcome back to St. Louis. The rival Cubs are in town, just about ready to get underway. Ryan Theriot is a former Cub, and he'll begin our 5 and 55.
Well, Ryan Theriot is on a career-high 16-game hitting streak, the longest active streak in the major leagues right now. Colby Rasmus coming off a big night last night, a 2-run triple, and then he highlights it with a grand slam, a career-high 6 RBIs. Lance Berkman, he's hit the Central Division very well, but he's cooled off a little bit of late. He's 0 for his last 13. When we talk about the Cubs, their young shortstop, he's moved to the 3rd spot in the order. He's hit well in 16 games against the Cardinals and in 327 against left-handed starters. Of course, Pena, the big gun, not swinging the bat for long ball, and he really has struggled against left-handed pitching. He'll be in the lineup tonight.
That's our 5 and 55 per first pitch right around the corner. We'll be back after this. Let's take a look at our Schnooks this date in history. June 3rd, 2004, a very young Yadier Molina makes his presence felt.
Perez trying to help himself with a base hit into right field. They will test Reggie Sanders to throw to the plate. Molina is there. Got him. Welcome to the majors, Mr. Molina.
Since that debut 7 years ago, Molina has shown he's much more than just a defensive catcher. Dan McLaughlin has more.
Yadier Molina can do it all. He's a 3-time Gold Glove winner, a 2-time All-Star, and a world champion. Very few catchers can handle a pitching staff and harness the opposition's running game, quite like Yadi. And this year, very few catchers can hit like Yadi. Molina is among the league leaders in several offensive categories among backstops. But as teammate and best friend Albert Pujols explained, Yadi doesn't care about his individual effort as long as the team wins.
The best thing that I admire about him being so young, that it doesn't matter what he does at the plate. Whenever he puts his catching gear, he can go 0 for 4, and at the end of the day, if we won the game, he's more exciting than the guy that won the game, and I think that's something that I admire the best.
Yadi is just 28 years old, but it's an experienced 28. Molina grew up in a baseball family, learning the basics of being a backstop from older brothers Jose and Benji. The Molina brothers all have a World Series ring, and Yadi is one of 3 catchers in history with 2 trips to the World Series before the age of 25. Manager Tony La Russa knew Yadi was a talented catcher as a rookie in 2004, but now that he's already had nearly 7 full years of experience, he's become one of the game's elite catchers.
Well, when he got here, he already had a special feel for catching at whatever level. And so what's happened is now he's got several years in the league. He just knows hitters better and ballparks better. He knows pitchers better. But he had great training because he had a special feel coming out of Peoria.
Yadier Molina has proven he can handle just about anything. From the St. Louis hot summers to speedy base stealers to fastballs on the outside corner. On May 17th, he also showed he can handle himself both on and off the field. In addition to a 3-for-4 night and a key win against the Phillies, Yadi took time to hang with Justin Mendez, a seriously ill child from Puerto Rico. Yadi helped Justin experience a big league lifestyle, even if for just one night. But it'll be a night that Justin will always remember. And St. Louis will always remember a classy catcher for whom the best may be yet to come.
Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By Chevy. See your Mid-America Chevy dealers. By Southwest Airlines new Rapid Rewards. Unlimited reward seats and no blackout dates. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 in quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake. Life needs flavor. St. Louis Union Station. Downtown St. Louis. Big crowd expected here on a Friday night, game 1 of a 3-game series with the Chicago Cubs. It doesn't get any better than this. And we'll take a look at this new look Chicago Cubs lineup. Kosuke Fukudome will be in right field. Darwin Barney is the rookie second baseman. Starlin Castro plays short. Giovanni Soto, Carlos Pena, Lou Montañez, Tyler Colvin, DJ LeMahieu. The rookie third baseman will bat 8th and play 3rd, and Ryan Dempster, the veteran, will pitch and bat 9th. And Jaime Garcia, Al, looking to rebound.
Well, you see he's making his 12th start. He already has 2 complete games. They were both shutouts. 5-1 record. Well, that one loss was a big one where he really got beat up last time. But he's back at home where he has only allowed 1 earned run in 31 innings.
Has been great here at Busch Stadium. Kosuke Fukudome will hit from the left side. 3 left-handers in this lineup against Garcia, and so far so good. Fastball on the outside corner, strike 1.
Ricky, we always want to see how someone bounces back from adversity, and so far a good start as he's pounding the strike zone.
Fukudome at 307. A slap hitter, all-star in 2008. And victim #1 for Garcia. Talk about your good starts. 3 straight pitches for out #1. Eventually, Garcia will need some defense behind him. Jay, Rasmussen, Berkman left to right in the outfield. Descalzo, Terrio, Schumacher, and Albert Pujols on the infield. And 3-time Gold Glover Yadier Molina behind the plate. Jaime Garcia making start number 12. Lance Berkman back in the lineup after a day off yesterday. A full day off.
I mean, a much needed one, and he was available to pinch hit late if it was a chance to tie or win the game, but
looping line drive into center. On comes Rasmus for out #2.
Colby, good read on that ball coming in and makes the catch. He's got good speed, just needs the good jump.
It's our Plaza Tire Foxmo. I love those looks we get from the Foxmo.
It showed you Castro's had a good average against the Cardinals, but most of that damage, virtually all of it, has been in his home ballpark. Here at Busch Stadium, he's struggled.
Been a real odd offensive year for the Chicago Cubs. 2nd in the National League in batting. Strike 1 again on the outside corner from Garcia. But their RBI production is extraordinarily low. 2nd in the league in batting, but 13th in RBIs.
Well, it's a younger, faster Cubs team, but there's an awful lot of young kids that probably are being rushed to the big leagues.
A lot of injuries for the Cubs. Soriano, Marlon Byrd, Aramis Ramirez, Reed Johnson, Jeff Baker, all out, all veterans.
Now you take the Cardinal core veterans out of their lineup, it would be a real hard time to win.
No doubt. Change up in the dirt. 1-2 to Castro.
This season, look how Castro's done, but those are games in Chicago where he's batted .426. On the road or here at Busch Stadium, .154.
Curveball is bounced in front of Garcia. He handles it, flips to Albert. 1-2-3 for Jaime Garcia. Good start. Top of the order for the Cardinals. Bottom of the first inning, Tony La Russa hoping his club can rebound from a tough 4 games against the San Francisco Giants. And here's his lineup. Terrio, Jay, and Pujols are 1-2-3. Berkman back in the lineup in right field. Molina, Rasmus, Schumacher, Daniel Descalzo's been a big plus to this club. He'll play third base and bat 8th, and Jaime Garcia bats 9th against Ryan Dempster, the veteran, making his 13th start of the season.
500 record, high ERA. Got off to a very slow start. Most of that in April. Fastball command was a problem. In May, he's pitched much better. He's 3-1 in May with a good ERA, but really still struggling on the road.
7-7 in his career against the Cardinals. And strike 1 to Ryan Terrio. Terrio, the former Cub, sitting on a 16-game hitting streak.
Career high and the longest streak in the major leagues right now.
Second longest this year in the National League to Andre Ethier, who had a great stretch with the Dodgers. Terrio's average now at 302.
Now, the Cardinals knew when they signed Terrio, they really like the asset of a grinder, a guy that knows how to play the game, and in Tony's words, a winner. They knew they were going to sacrifice a little defense, but he really has been a plus offensively.
Shown very good patience at the plate. The 2-1 pitch to Terrio misses. Another deep count worked by Ryan Terrio.
Well, when you struggle with your fastball, then you're kind of forced to throw that slider, but it's not like you have to throw a strike with it. And many times you want to get ahead of your fastball, and then whether it's your splitter or your slider, you want to throw it off the plate and get someone to chase. It's not necessarily a pitch you want to throw in the strike zone.
Full count. This one lined to right field, down the line, trouble if fair, and it's a fair ball. Terrio rounds first, headed to second, strong arm by Fukudome, safe. Leadoff double for Ryan Terrio. The hit streak now at 17.
And he got the slider, and it was up a little bit, and he hit it right down the right field line. Fukudome really made a nice play. Got close to that ball, realized he wasn't going to be able to catch it, and then was able to recover it. It still is an extra base hit, but it could have gotten by him, and Terrio could have circled the bases. Almost a defensive swing, and here running hard all the way out of the box. Knew that Fukudome had the strong arm. That's a good heads-up play.
That was our Plaza Tire Foxmo. Terrio, the runner at second. John Jay will try to move him over. The bunt to the third base line, backhanded and played by Ryan Dempster. Successful sacrifice moves Terrio to third. He does his job. The defense behind Dempster. Lou Montañez in left field, Colvin, Fukudome in the outfield, LeMahieu, Castro, Barney, and Pena on the infield. Giovanni Soto got hurt when the Cardinals were in Chicago, went to the disabled list for 15 days. He's back behind the plate. That's our Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's defense for the visiting Chicago Cubs.
Interesting that you elect a sacrifice here in the first inning. Give up an out. You get the man over to third base for Albert. And one thing I would believe is when you got a team like the Cubs that are young and struggling, you want to get on top quickly, put that pressure on them, and just let them, play catch up, or maybe more importantly, say, look for tomorrow. Cardinals do have a better record when they score first.
Strike 1 count on Pujols, takes that pitch low. Albert hitting .319 in his career against Dempster.
A little bit surprising.
But he does have 6 home runs and 10 RBIs.
And he's delivered that man from third in 4 of 11 opportunities.
The 1-1.
As good as Albert has hit Dempster, Schumacher has been outstanding. He's hitting .450 with almost as many at bats as Albert.
There's the Cubs defense playing deep, infield back, conceding the run. Good hitting count here. Being very careful with Albert. 3-1.
They're doing the right thing by playing the infield back, conceding the run. It is early. Even though Jaime has just been brilliant here in this ballpark, you still got to play for, concede the 1 run and keep it a 1-run game. Come in, you play for a crooked number.
It's time for our first bank, first take. We're banking on your future. Here's the difference between the starters and the bullpen for the Chicago Cubs.
Part of that is over the course of the year, they've lost 3 starters. They do have Randy Wells back, and he will be making the start tomorrow, the Belleville native. Well, when you take 3 starters out of any rotation, you're going to have a struggle, and they've really struggled with their 4th and 5th starters.
Last in the National League in earned run average, last in defense. Not a good combination. Off-speed pitch is popped up behind home plate and out of play.
Lance, has always hit the Central Division extremely well, but right now a little bit of a tailspin, so maybe he needs to see familiar pitchers and teams, as he's 0 for his last 13.
Berkman has dropped to 4th in the National League in batting. Still very good numbers at .329. Big gap in right center. The 0-1 low. Cincinnati hoping for a double play. Chicago, not Cincinnati. Cincinnati may be hoping for one too.
Probably are. They are, because
there's 2 men on.
The Dodgers are hitting.
Long ball to right center field off the bat of Berkman. It's back and it's gone. 3-run homer. Lance Berkman, his 12th of the season, and the Cardinals jump on top.
Leads the ball club with his 12 home runs and his 39 RBIs. You give a guy a day's rest, especially when you get up in age a little bit, and they will respond. Ball just above the belt, got the arms extended and drives it.
Lance Berkman, safe at home, safe and secure, New York life. That's a great start to this series.
What the Cardinals need, both these teams are on little losing streaks.
Colby Rasmus had a nice day offensively in the final game with the San Francisco Giants. A 6 RBI game, 2-run triple, grand slam home run in the 7th.
Well, the Cardinals get their wish, as when you have a team that's young and inexperienced, you want to jump out on top of them, get to them early, make them play catch up. And what you can really do is make them think about this one's, we'll pack the bags and get ready for tomorrow.
.412-foot home run for Lance Berkman. One popped up, out of play. Soto looks at it, lets it go. Very few household names, Al, in this Cubs lineup here tonight. Soto had the great rookie season. Dempster, the veteran. Pena, the first baseman who's been around. But this is a very, very different Chicago Cubs ball club.
No doubt about it. Young players. You don't know much about them. Not a good combination when you aren't getting good starting pitching. Then you can't catch the ball as they lead the league in errors.
Popped up on the right side. Pena coming in. Soto over in front of the Cardinal dugout. Pena makes the play for out number 2.
Martinez out there, career minor leaguer, a former #1 draft pick, but a 6-year minor league free agent as he's bounced around. Always hit well in the minor leagues, but never at the big league level.
Went to Baltimore for 3 years, and he's a good, I guess he's the poster boy for don't burn your bridges, though. Comes back to the team that originally drafted him. There's a line drive into gap off the bat of Molina. He's thinking about 2. There he goes. Good play by the center fielder. It'll be close, but Yadier Molina slides in with a 2-out double.
You hold your breath, but Yadi knows when to push it. Most of the time, you know, when he decides to try to get that double, he comes in safely. Just continues his torrid hitting. Throw to the outfield side, so that he knew there wasn't even going to be a play. But it looks like he slides to the infield side.
Skip Schumacher with a chance to add to the Cardinal lead. Takes a fastball right down central. 91 miles an hour. (3-0) Cardinals.
You know, Skip is a .450 career average, and that's better than 40 plate appearances against Dempster, but really unfair, missing 5 weeks.
Just
forced to come back to the lineup next due to Puto's injury. And, you know, ideally he would have stayed down in the minor leagues on a rehab until about now, but forced to come up here, and you know what a consummate professional he is. He's going to do everything he can to help him, but it's a little different than facing extended spring training pitchers, and only did that, what, 12, 15 times before getting the recall.
I'll say it's different.
Yeah.
1-2 the count to Schumacher, and a swing and a miss at an off-speed pitch, but the Cardinals strike early. Lance Berkman hits number 12, and the Cardinals jump on top 3-0. Our Toyota keys to the game. Jaime Garcia has been outstanding in his career here at Busch Stadium. 19 starts out. You mentioned the ERA this year, but really it goes back to last year. Microscopic ERA, good walk to strikeout ratio.
Yeah, his career here is 1.74, but this season it's 0.29. That was coming in. 1 earned run in 31 innings, and thanks to Berkman, he has a 3-run lead.
What a day of rest will do for a guy.
Oh, I've heard rest does wonders for you.
You just don't.
Sometimes you get too much rest, though.
That's right. Garcia out for his 2nd inning of work, and he begins again by throwing strike 1 to Giovanni Soto.
Rick, you just got to take care of yourself. You know, if you do that, you'll be okay.
I'll work on that, Al. Thanks.
By the way, Cincinnati didn't get the double play, and they trail 1-0.
I'm glad we were right on that game, too. As I kind of wanted you to watch that game a little bit.
A little
Al.
early in the season, but
keep your tabs on.
It's always fun.
Oh, yeah. And it's always fun when the Cubs are in town. Soto late on that fastball. Cubs had a very tough series against the Houston Astros, actually swept at home. And as always, some Cub fans here at the ballpark. Another good changeup from Garcia. Strikeout victim number 2.
Well, Jaime has exceptional stuff, whether it's a fastball, the curveball, or the changeup. You'll always see that great action, tailing action there on that pitch. It's always running, moving. Makes it so difficult to center it. It's one of the reasons why he gives up so few, extra base hits.
And the Cub hitters that have done well against Garcia, and it's very low sample size, but the ones that have hit him well all aren't in this game. Ramirez has had a couple of hits. Alfonso Soriano 3, and Jeff Baker, who's also hurt, the veteran. So very little experience against Garcia, so they don't really know him that well. That should be advantage Garcia.
Most definitely. You as a pitcher, you know what you want to throw. That ball just running in. Pena's really had trouble against left-handed starters. Pena is only 2 for 40. Why do you think the Cubs only signed him to a 1-year contract?
There's some speculation about that. Pena's bounced around a little bit in his career. Some have said that the Cardinals' first baseman is the man at the top of their wish list.
Would that be the ultimate revenge for Lou Brock?
I guess it might be. Well, I don't even want to think about it, Al. Pena's bounced around, played in Texas, Oakland, Detroit, Boston, Tampa Bay, and now Chicago. And there's a reason guys bounce around. You know that they're a good player, but you find out that there's some things they can't do. Skies this one to center field. This is way deep and way high, but Rasmus takes care of it. Out number 2. Taking a game from some of Busch Stadium's most popular seats, the all-inclusive areas. You'll get a great view of the game, plus all your food and drinks included for one great price. Get your all-inclusive tickets at Cardinals.com. Warm, very warm night here at the stadium. 93 degrees at game time, which was 7:16 Central Time. And we're expecting a great weekend series. We will see Zambrano on Sunday against Chris Carpenter. That's certainly the marquee matchup in some ways, but Kyle Loesch has been fantastic himself. 7-2 with an ERA just over 2. He'll pitch Saturday against Randy Wells.
Well, we know how important it is about starting pitching.
And starting pitching's been good so far tonight. Garcia is right on track. You're looking at a photo submitted by Jennifer Franklin, the winner of our Fan of the Game photo contest presented by Creve Coeur Camera. Jennifer wins a $100 gift card from Creve Coeur Camera. Every month, a new winning photo is selected. Go to foxsportsmidwest.com to send us your photos and enter to win. Strike one to Daniel Descalzo. 8-9-1 for the Redbirds here. Bottom of the second inning. 3-0 Cardinals. Lance Berkman, 3-run home run, has thrilled this crowd. There's a line drive to left. Back goes Montañez. And he makes the play, out number 1. Remember Willie Montañez?
Oh, absolutely. Cardinal
He could hit
Farm.
a little bit.
He was in the Cardinal Farm system. Was part of the compensation for Dick Allen, and then went on to have a great career with Philadelphia and others.
He played about 8 or 9 years in the big leagues as Willie Montañez, and finally told everybody, you know what? I'd like you to pronounce that little Enye. It's Willie Montañez.
Montañez.
That's exactly right. First pitch low to Garcia. Garcia doing a great job. First couple of innings. Matched up against a solid veteran in Ryan Dempster. Has that little flick of the glove that he does to get himself settled over the mound. It's just something he's developed, maybe to hide the ball. I'm not sure why he does it, but he seems to be comfortable with it.
Rick, I think it's a combination of things. I think in his mind it helps him become a little bit deceptive. Maybe at some point someone told him that he was tipping his pitches the way he was holding the ball in the glove, and by doing so it also is a distraction for the hitter. Hitters are trying to study that ball in the glove, watch it all the way to watch the release point. And when you flick the glove that a little bit, it changes your eye angle, and you instead of looking for the ball or the wrist, all of a sudden you watch the glove.
The 2-2 swung on and missed. Garcia's strikeout victim number 2. And let's check out this unorthodox delivery of Ryan Dempster.
Well, he's a 2-time All-Star, a 3-time 15-game winner, and he's been a reliever, an elite reliever and closer. Canadian-born, and just nothing fancy about it. But a few years ago, he started doing that twisting of the glove, and I think in his mind, it's really helped.
Slider is strike 1 to Terrio. Terrio doubled and later scored in the first. Dempster, one of those pitchers too that wasn't very clear early in his career whether he was going to be a reliever or a starter. He's done a little bit of both.
Sure, and as I said, at times he's been an elite closer. Other times he's been in this rotation, and he's done an outstanding job. 3-time 15-game winner. He's where he wants to be right now.
And everybody has their theories, Al, with the difference between a guy who's meant to be a reliever and a guy who's meant to be a starter.
One thing, you know, it does help to have 3 or more pitches when you're in the rotation. High strike.
Fastball in the upper part of the zone. Strikeout victim number 3. We're through 2, 3-0 Cardinals. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill at Lumiere Casino. It's now open, a sports bar for everyone. By Steel, are you ready for a steal? And by Goldman Sachs, for all the reasons you invest, mutual funds from Goldman Sachs. Warm evening in St. Louis. Welcome back. We're visiting with Jay Cunningham. Al Ramoski found out that Lance Berkman took a rest and hit a home run, so Al's going to take a rest for a half an inning and see if he can come back strong. But Jay, we're glad you're joining us, and you've got a great event to tell us about. Jay, the AB brand manager.
That's right,
here
for
in
Busch
St.
Beer.
Louis, for Busch Beer, and
right.
You've got a great festival you want to tell us about as Tyler Colvin leads off.
That's right. We've got the 5th annual St. Louis Brewers Heritage Festival happening at Forest Park next weekend, June 10th and 11th. The festival has quickly become the 3rd largest beer festival in the United States. So you can order your tickets at stlbrewfest.com or 888-792-2424. We encourage you to come out and get your tickets early because it's going to be a sellout. It's a very popular event.
And you're going to have a lot of food and things along with that.
Absolutely.
Not just the 60 different brands, I understand.
We're going to have over 75 different styles of beer. So the thing that sets this festival apart from any other beer festival in the United States, it's a festival of education versus a festival of competition. So it's varieties and sales. You have a lager tent and an ale tent. We'll have brewmasters walking the festival grounds to talk you through the sophistication and complexity of beer.
Jay Cunningham's visiting with us about the 2011 St. Louis Brewers Heritage Festival, and one of the things that's so key about this is the timing's perfect. Headed into summer, it's just a great way to spend a couple of days.
Absolutely. It's a beer selling season, as we call it. You know, this is the time of year. It's hot outside. You're cutting the grass. You're out on your deck. What better way to sit back and relax and have a refreshing American lager?
Ryan Terrio takes care of that ground ball. 2 quick outs for the Cardinals here. 8 up, 8 down for Jaime Garcia. And of course, the Cardinals over the years, and not just the Cardinals, but really the St. Louis community and the entire region has appreciated the great work that Anheuser-Busch has done in so many ways in the community. It's just been such a solid part of what it means to be a St. Louisan, and of course the baseball is part of that, isn't it, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, about 6 years ago, we got in conversations with Schlafly and to celebrate this 75th anniversary of repeal of Prohibition, and that's what started the discussions.
Well, we're glad you do it. Great for the visit. Thanks for the visit. We're through 2.5. Cardinals 3, Cubs nothing. MLB.TV. You can take the Cardinals with you, see every game live or on demand. You can also see it on your computer or your favorite devices. Visit Cardinals.com for more details. Bottom of the third, 3-0 Cardinals. 3 runs, 3 hits for the Redbirds. The big blow, Lance Berkman's 3-run home run. And Al, I said that Lance Berkman took a day off. Came back, hit a 3-run home run. You took the top of the third inning off. Now you're going to come back refreshed and do something spectacular yourself.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be exactly myself.
We're hoping the Redbirds do.
Well, that's what my thought process would be. John Jay and Albert and Bergman and company.
I noticed
Not me personally.
Well, I noticed you were huddled in the back with Jay Cunningham, the brand manager from Anheuser-Busch. You guys were having a little secret powwow before you came back on the air.
That's true.
You were working it, weren't you?
Well, remember what your request was? The delivery location you gave me?
The truck.
No. You forgot about them. You said your house.
Oh, it's great to visit with them. Again, remind you the 5th annual St. Louis Brewers Heritage Festival. Be at Forest Park Friday, June 10th and Saturday, June 11th. STLBrewFest.com or call 1-888-792-2424. Tickets are on sale now. John Jay leads it off for the Cardinals. It'll be Jay, Pujols, and Berkman. Sacrifice bunt in the first inning. Move Terrio to third. Then the intentional walk to Albert Pujols, but runners at the corners, and Berkman delivered.
You know, that's a good idea to set up a double play ball. But when you hit a 3-run home run, the strategy doesn't quite work.
Cubs are last in the National League at turning double plays by a long shot. And I asked Bob Brenly why that is, and he said, you know, the middle infielders are pretty good. Castro and Barney, good hands, quick. And all he could think of is the pitchers aren't making the pitches needed to get the double play.
Well, we've seen a lot of pitching staffs where they brag about the fact that you know, their team leads in turning double plays. Well, sometimes it can be because you got good interior defense, other times because you got a bad pitching staff.
That's exactly right. Leadoff walk to Jay, and some anxious moments here early on for Mike Quade. Quade took over last season, and he's in his first full season as the Cubs manager. He's 24-13. That's a pretty good finish.
No doubt about it. There are a lot of people thought that Ryan Sandberg, who had really paid his dues, AAA manager in the Cub organization, would be the next manager. But Quade got the interim job, and his team responded. They played so well under him. He richly deserved the opportunity to manage his team.
You think about the emotional factors of the decision of wanting to have Ryan Sandberg as your manager if you're in Chicago. I mean, the great hero. That had to be a tough choice for Jim Hendry.
And Quade, like I said, he paid his dues many, many years toiling in the minor leagues. Then he's been up here the last few years at the big leagues. But his ball club responded to him. You know, Sandberg, I guess, saw the writing on the wall, and he left the organization. He's now with the Phillies. But right now, I don't think it's a fair evaluation of Quade with the team that he has on the field.
Agreed. There goes the runner, and the throw from Soto is on the shortstop side. He's safe. Stolen base number 5 for John Jay.
Barney tried to hang with the tag because it appears that he comes off the bag. So he's safe, but then he loses contact. But he came back with the left arm ahead of the tag, so he gets a safe call twice.
It's a good call. Right on top of it. Ted Barrett, umpire at second. Ground ball to the right side, and Albert is out 4-3. That moves John Jay to third. And that brings in Lance Berkman. Berkman now with 39 RBIs on the year, looking for number 40 here.
I know you and Dan have talked about the last week or so, but Lance Berkman getting more playing time than what originally was the game plan. He's responded and in such good shape, but he'll need that day off like he got. Recharge his battery And so far in the first plate appearance, it all paid off.
You can almost see his bat getting a little slower over the last week or so. Particularly dangerous from the left side.
Now here in the third inning, they draw the infield in as they already trail by 3. They just feel they can't go down any further. Barney, the second baseman, playing back, but first pitch he was in on the grass also.
Off speed pitch, swing and a miss. Off balance swing from Lance Berkman, 0-2.
The splitter, you know, he really has gotten away from throwing his splitter, and I don't know why.
Pretty nasty. 0-2, popped up on the left side. Should be playable by Castro, and is. So Lance Berkman not able to drive in John Jay, and it'll be Colby Rasmus's turn. Basset Hound, Bulldog, Beagle, or Boxer. Saturday, June 25th. Pick up a rope chew toy for your furry friend. Compliments of Nestle Purina. They're available to 25,000 pet lovers ages 16 and older. Get yours by purchasing tickets at Cardinals.com. Rasmus popped up in the infield. His first plate appearance. 5 homers, 26 RBIs for him. Cardinals have been very good with some 2-out magic.
Well, this season, I think that is, if you were to describe one aspect about this club, is the great statistic of how many, and it's well over 100 times they've driven in a run with 2 outs.
Fastball misses. Mentioned the RBI totals. The Cardinals coming into play at 274 RBIs. And to give it some perspective, what that is for the Cubs, 208. 274 versus 208. That's a big difference. And the teams were batting roughly the same, average-wise. Cardinals were just taking advantage of opportunities at a much higher rate. And they've also, Al, not only been a clutch team, but they've been a team that has overcome injuries as well as any team I've seen in recent years.
I've always respected and admired Tony for how he deals with injuries. He always talks about the opportunity it creates for others, and he dwells on what he has, not what he has not, you know, what he's lost. So it's you know, a manager sets the tone for that ball club.
And the manager may believe that, the coaches may believe that, but you've got to get the players to believe it.
That's right. But if they don't panic, then the players don't panic.
You could picture day 1 hearing Adam Wainwright is out, day 2 saying we have no chance. You could have seen that happen. The 2-2 breaks the bat of Colby Rasmus. He'll have to go back for another one.
You know, there's nothing good about losing Adam Wainwright, and there's no way you can replace Adam. But it happened so early in spring training that it very quickly became an afterthought. And everyone said, okay, we got 6 weeks of spring training. We know he's gone for the year. You know, we know he'll be a great cheerleader. But Kyle McClellan filled the shoes. You know, it created an opportunity. He jumped in there. And prior to going on the disabled list, he was one of the absolute best starters. And Ricky, I'll let you describe what's going on in the dugout.
I'm going to guess that's a little rally thing they got going on. Let's just slap Adam in the head.
Or wasn't somebody eating beans?
And you know, in baseball, it used to be on a 2-ball, 2-strike, 2-out pitch. You do it. So I don't think they're going to do it here. I think that was the 2-2-2 thing. Let's see if they do it on 3-2. They don't. Swing and a miss.
Should have.
They should have. Good point. Rasmus strikes out. On to the top of the 4th. Top of the 4th, 3-0 Cardinals. Garcia has been perfect. Every Sunday during the 2 hours prior to the Cardinals game, enjoy free frozen treats and win fun prizes in the Ford Plaza, courtesy of North Star. For ticket information, visit Cardinals.com.
So far, so good for Jaime. 3 up, 3 down in all 3 innings.
Looked very sharp, hasn't he? A lot of first pitch strikes, and there's one to Kosuke Fukudome.
This may sound a little strange, but Jaime has been around for a while, and I'm one of his biggest fans. But even rookies, I want to see them have bad outings to see how they respond.
Not that you
Preferably
really
in spring training. You know?
Well, he had one of those in spring training.
Right.
I saw it.
Well, he had a bad spring, you know, but he didn't get him down. Dave Duncan always talked glowingly and positive about the outings. And then the first outing was a 2-hit shutout or a shutout. But, you know, if you have it, you know, you get roughed up like Jaime did his last time out, you want to see how he responds. Does this become something that goes for 3 or 4 starts, or can he overcome it immediately?
That's the thing that really makes you a big leaguer, isn't it?
It sure is.
Slider misses low. He's had good break on his slider, his sinker, and his changeup has been very effective. Uses the changeup, Al, more to right-handers than he does left-handers.
Yeah, we've seen guys that have just breezed through the minor leagues, were great stars.
Ground ball to the right side. Schumacher, out number 1.
You know, throughout their prep days, but then all of a sudden, you know, and they come up here and they really excel. But then all of a sudden, when they have trouble, sometimes they don't have enough of a background to where they can recover, and really it ends a promising career. Now, you and I both had the approach where we struggled a lot, so when we got to the big leagues, we knew how to deal with it.
You always had to have that plan B and plan C and plan D.
And
you were used to it.
It's actually better preparation.
George Kissel, we bring him up a lot. You and I have had great respect for the effect that he has had on this Cardinal organization. Longtime minor league, the late George Kissel, longtime great teacher. He used to say, I will never bring up a guy to the next level until he failed at the level before.
And that's what we're talking about, because if you haven't failed, you know, when you go to the next level, or eventually you will fail. And then how do you deal with failure? You learn so much more from failure, and this isn't anything in life, than you do from your successes.
2-1 to Darwin Barney, Cubs second baseman. Has a shot at being the Rookie of the Year in the National League. Takes a strike that just barely gets the inside corner to even the count.
Not very big, but boy, this kid comes to play. He overcomes his size with a lot of heart.
The 2-2. Hit on the ground to Terrio. Handles it flawlessly. Out number 2. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game is coming. Biggest stars will gather in Arizona in the desert for one spectacular night. The summer's biggest event. Fox brings you every thrilling moment. 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday, July 12th, live from Phoenix at 7 p.m. only on Fox.
Look at this ball.
That might come back fair.
That's right. That's why he did a good job by running Castro, and defensively the Cardinals did a right thing by not assuming that it's going to stay foul.
Now we should offer our congratulations to John Watson and Karen Giamanco on their wedding tomorrow. John works in our Fox Sports Midwest office. Congratulations. One more look at that spin.
Look at that ball.
Like we're playing pool or something.
Chalk it up.
1-2 is hit to left field and deep. Back goes Jay, but he makes the play in the left center field gap. Another 1-2-3 inning for Garcia. Bottom of the 4th, 3-0 Cardinals. Yadier Molina celebrating his debut as a Cardinal. We already talked about it. June 2004. Other things happened that day too, Al. Tony La Russa got into it with Lloyd McClendon over a pitch up and in. Imagine that. And the two of them, well, they kind of went chest to chest over it. Had a nice little discussion about it. And we had some tempers between those two clubs that year, if you can remember.
No way. Cheryl Perry, Dave Duncan. That might have been the next day before batting practice, or right when the teams were leaving.
Base hit to right for Molina. He's 2 for 2. That's the very typical Yadier Molina base hit that we saw there.
You're almost doing him a favor when you pitch inside to him, because he used the inside out. Or if you pitch him away, it's even more so. An easy way just to stay within inside the ball, just to throw those hands out there and shoot one to right field. We were talking about the All-Star game. How about Cardinal Nation get behind all your favorite Cardinals?
No doubt about that.
They're going to be well represented once again, but we could make it a few more.
A lot of votes already for Albert and Holiday and Berkman. The last I saw, Yadi was third amongst catchers, but
Posey,
moving up.
Posey was
number one, who's out for the year.
Are you a little surprised that the Giants haven't asked Benji Molina to come back?
I am. I think he'd be a perfect fit for them.
I mean, Eli Whiteside it's a great story. A guy who's persevered so many years in the minor leagues, and got the chance, but obviously offensively challenged. And Benji was a cleanup hitter 2 years ago for them.
1-1 to Schumacher's hit on the ground to the right side. Tough play for Barney. He's going to try to get the lead runner and does. Risky play for Barney. Fielder's choice for Schumacher.
Rick, a lot of times I judge a second baseman. Will he make the risky play? He's got an easy play in front of him, but the right play, can you keep that man from going in scoring position? Also, that Yadi's running. It's a difficult play. You have to execute a throw in the vicinity so your shortstop can make the play. But if you've got to get one, if you can get the lead runner, it really does help your pitcher out.
He made that look very smooth too, didn't he? But that throw, when you spin one way and then have to throw back across your body, is not an easy throw to make.
A lot of times people think, like an Eckstein or somebody is, doesn't have a particularly strong throwing arm. Oh, we'll just move him to second base. But there are so many plays like that one, or you're running out in the outfield, you got to throw behind first base. So many difficult throws. It's not that easy if you don't have a strong throwing arm.
That's a great point. Daniel Descalzo's 0 for 1.
That's why Schumacher, at times is really a tremendous asset for him. An outfielder coming to second base, but because he has such a tremendous and strong throwing arm that he can overcome, some of the laying back on a ball a little bit or do this and do that as he's making that conversion.
Little bloop to center field. This should drop, and it does. Cardinals have runners at first and second on Daniel Descalzo's first hit of the night. He's had a nice homestand.
A rare hit before the 7th inning. Ball outside, but just enough, low ball hitter. He reaches out, didn't get a whole lot of it, but effectively dumped it over the infield. Jaime not really swinging the bat that well this year, but trust me, he can swing the bat.
He looks good standing there, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Think he'll bunt in this situation. First and second, one out. Cubs are expecting it.
They're playing in on the corners. Because they're expecting it, not let him swing away. Terrio's not, is pretty much a singles hitter. You got the 3-run lead, but we've seen Tony be so creative with his pitcher up there. You show bunt one right now. Now that really sells it to the defense that he's going to bunt. So take the bunt off.
Castro on that last play was holding the runner Schumacher at second and didn't move 1 inch.
That's right.
Just stayed right there.
You want to keep you shorten up the lead there. Your idea is to get the guy out at third base.
Now he's moving.
Jaime really doesn't look comfortable sacrificing, and only 2 on the season.
Eyeballing the signs from Jose Oquendo.
He does hit a lot of ground balls. He pulls a lot of ground balls to the right side, which they might be able to turn to 2.
That's that's why you don't want him to swing away. Pulls the bat back 1-2 to Garcia. Batting .083 on the season. Cardinals with runners at first and second. Batting here in the 4th inning, 3-0 lead.
He got 2 strikes on him. You know, he's got a 3-0 lead. The way he's going right now, let him hit. Hit that ball to the vacated shortstop area.
Sign me up. I'm in favor. Let's see what he does. Schumacher, the runner at second. Descalzo at first. The 1-2 is bunted down the third base line. Dempster thinks about third.
He had him.
And he might have been able to get Schumacher, but that little bit of hesitation results in a successful sacrifice for Jaime Garcia. It's time for our AT&T trivia question. Who were the last 2 opposing players to each have 6 RBI in a single game? Answer: Justin Morneau, Minnesota. Matt Holliday from Oakland. 3 days later, by the way, Matt Holliday was a Cardinal. Because the Cardinals are watching that game film. When I think about 6+ RBIs in one game, I think about Ryan Sandberg and Willie McGee in 1984.
That was the 2 home runs off of Suter, right?
Best game I ever saw in my entire life. Unbelievable. McGee hit for the cycle, but the best player in the game was Ryan Sandberg.
2 home runs off of Suter in his prime, and just a battle back and forth. Of course, it was at Wrigley.
What a game that was. It was the game of the week. In the dirt, and it gets away from Soto. And the Cardinals lead 4-0. Skip Schumacher scores easily, and a mistake by Ryan Dempster adds to the Cardinal lead.
Set up away, a little slider. Boy, you really appreciate the Cardinal catchers when you see a ball like that get away. It'll be scored a wild pitch, but that ball has to be blocked with a runner at third base. You cannot tell your pitcher that, well, you can't throw a ball in the dirt. You have to be able to throw a ball in the dirt with a runner at third.
2-0 pitch. Terrio fakes a bunt, and Descalzo was way up the line at third. Had to scamper back.
Descalzo thought that he bunted the ball, or they made contact.
Obviously not a squeeze situation,
No.
but he thought the ball might be in play, and he took off. Ball hit to right. Should be foul, may be playable, and into the seats goes Fukudome, and he does not come up with it. Good effort, though.
I was surprised when I looked up right before how close he was playing to the right field line. Defensively, they had the outfielders swung away, but he only took a half dozen steps. You don't see him running hard, but he just took a half dozen steps, was already at the railing, and with that low wall, you're concentrating on the ball, and all of a sudden your knees or your thighs hit that wall, and you flip right over.
Good effort for a strike. 2-2 the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
Defensively, they play Terrio in the outfield like he's a left-handed pull hitter. Big gap in left center, but look where Fukudome is in right.
Ball hit hard to center field, but playable by Tyler Colvin. Successful sacrifice by Garcia leads to a Cardinal run. Top of the 5th inning. It's been all Jaime Garcia and all Cardinals. 4-0 Redbirds.
Jaime just does a good job of changing speeds, moving the ball around, but everything moves. Look at that sinking action. 91 miles an hour, but keeps it down low, and then it just bottom falls out.
That pitch so low, you'd think, what's he doing swinging at that? Well, he thinks it's a strike.
Sure.
1-1 the count to Soto. He struck out in the second. Garcia has a little deception in his movement, in his motion, almost a little hitch, you might say. Kind of stops and then goes again like McClellan does from the right side. The 2-1 pitch, good changeup, 84 miles an hour. Always about 8 to 10 miles an hour off your fastball.
A lot of people think that 11 miles an hour differential is optimum. But as you said, if you sell it with the same arm action, just to get you off your fastball or just not being able to center it. But in the case of Jaime, it's usually a swing and miss pitch.
You probably didn't throw very many changeups, or did you?
I had a hard time trying to back off on anything. You know,
why is that hard for me to believe, Al?
Yeah, just at the end.
Swing and a miss. Curveball. Al Hrabosky backing up on something. Good curveball from Garcia. Strikeout number 5.
So there's a curveball, and you see that ball almost stops, and then all of a sudden it just goes straight down.
But you do have to believe in a changeup. You have to be able to back off it. You have to say, I'm going to have a comfort level that this is going to be effective, even though it's slower than my other pitch.
At the end of my career, I took a 3-day crash course on how to throw the spitter. Phil Reagan, the vulture.
Now you're saying spitter, not splitter. Just to be clear.
Well, to make it even clearer, slippery elm.
Okay. You had a crash course from Phil Regan.
From Phil Regan, and actually, you know, one of the most religious gentlemen in the game. Just by the my.
Thanks for throwing that in.
Yeah, but it's not cheating until you're caught, you know. But I did it in the winter. He was teaching at a college. And I had been released by the Atlanta Braves, and I went up there and I had a nasty one in the gym, but I couldn't do it outside. And of course there was saliva dripping off the ball too. So it kind of was easy to detect at the beginning.
And you're supposed to, for those who are trying to learn how to throw one at home, Al, the whole key was you're supposed to almost squeeze it.
Yeah, you kind of pinch it. You know, you hold it, you know, like when you throw all your other pitches, usually you're catching a seam to utilize the seam for a rotation. On this, you kind of pinched it, you know, without touching any seams to kind of have it just ooze out. And
fastball misses.
The funny story actually is Phil, for whatever reason, kind of liked me. He goes, you know, I still know some people in baseball. Let me make a few phone calls. I'd been released. And in his effort to try and find me a job, he called the Seattle Mariners, and they said, "What are you doing?" And he got a big league pitching coach job, and eventually was the manager of Seattle also.
And the first base runner for the Cubs is a 1-out walk to Carlos Pena. And there ends our lesson on how to throw a spitter by Al Hrabosky. Thou shalt not spit, Al.
That's why you use slippery elm.
Okay.
Throat lozenge. You get a tacky substance on your fingertips to help it, to assist it.
Strike one to Montañez. The left fielder, we mentioned, originally drafted by the Chicago Cubs in the organization, ended up with Baltimore in the big leagues parts of the last 3 years. And now he's back with the Cubs, and he's going to shoot the gap with this one. Down to the wall. Pena's going to score. Montañez stops at second. And now he's going to head to third. Albert with the throw. He is safe at third as the ball gets away in the infield. And the Cardinals' lead is now 4-1. First hit of the night for the Chicago Cubs is Lou Montañez.
It should be scored a double, and an error allow him to go to third. So Jaime throws the ball well struck out into right center. See the ball slicing away from Kobe Rasmus. Pena going around. He's going to score easily. And then he was going to stop, but the throw got away, and a good effort by Albert to get over there, and a nice stop by Descalzo, who tried to get the tag, but he gets over to third easily. So far, they have not ruled an error, but it shouldn't be a straight triple.
And I like the view on our Hyundai Foxmo that we get throughout the ball game. This ball grounded foul. It certainly shouldn't be a triple, and you really can't say advanced on the throw either. Still no error on the scoreboard.
Now they do give it a double and an RBI and E9. It just kind of looked like Berkman just tried to get it back into the infield as quick as possible, and he overshot the relay men, and that's why Albert had to retrace and get the ball.
Tyler Colvin has struggled at the plate this year, batting just over 100. And a swing and a miss. Big strikeout for Garcia, his second of the inning. We'll take another look at this error on Berkman.
You see, he just fires it back, but way over the head of the cutoff men.
There's a cutoff man out,
secondary
and then there's a trailer.
But I mean, the first one, it looked like it was Schumacher, was so far out that he just threw it, got it, you know, to get it back in, and then Terrio was even further out. So missed both of them. Albert had to get it, but allowed another base.
And Montañez at third for DJ LeMahieu, 22-year-old from LSU. Grounded out in the third inning, and he looks like he's about 10 years old.
I almost wonder with that name and that the fact that he went to LSU, if he is from Louisiana.
You would think so. This may be a tough play here if it's fair, but it does roll foul.
This is the game inside the game. You know, Jaime has to pick up Berkman and his defense. You go out there, he struck out Colvin to get 2 outs. You still got that runner out there. But you go show everybody how good you are and how tough you are. That, okay, guys, I know you're hustling. You're trying to help me out. I'm going to show you I'm not going to let that run come back and score.
No sense using that ready-made excuse.
That's an unearned run?
Yeah.
No, that's a run out there.
Overcome it. 1-1 to count. Changeup is blocked by Molina, and there's the difference between what we saw from Soto last inning, Al, and Yadier Molina behind the plate.
It's a great point, and that's what we're talking about. You really appreciate Yadi. You go back to, but when you've got a runner at third, there's times where you've got to be able to bounce a ball. And that was a real tough one because he bounced it so far out in front of the plate. But Yadi will be the first one to tell you, hey, don't be afraid to bounce it.
Another sharp pitch from Jaime Garcia evens the count at 2, and he's looking for another strikeout. Already has 6.
Now that he's got 2 strikes, now you do go for that punch out. Prior to that, there's a changeup.
And a good one. Strikeout number 7. Garcia strikes out the side. Cubs pick up a run. Jay, Pujols, and Berkman. And we've been taking a look at the strike breakdown over the last week or so. Ryan Dempster and Jaime Garcia, the called strike, the fouls, in play, swing and miss, and total.
See, Dempster's thrown 45 pitches, Jaime 43. But look at the difference in the swing and miss, 9 to 15. Also, Dempster's put so many more balls in play. 13, where Jaime only 9. They're not centering the ball, swing and misses, fouls off, everything else, keeping the ball out of play. A reason why Jaime is controlling this ball game. He's only allowed 1 hit, Dempster 5. In 1 less inning pitched.
He really is controlling this game, isn't he?
He really is.
It's fun to watch him when he is right. And we talked at the onset of this game about how Garcia needed to really turn around what he had done in his last outing, and he has accomplished that. 1-2 to John Jay. Jay has successfully sacrificed, walk, and stole a base in the 3rd. And he has been a big plus in this Cardinal lineup in the absence of Matt Holliday. Feel very good about him being in the outfield and him being in the lineup. Ground ball foul. And Al, I would say that John Jay, in my estimation, and correct me if you see something different, but to me, he's getting even better defensively. He's taking some great jumps and making good throws. He looks very comfortable in the outfield.
Well, I remember going back to last season, and you could tell that he was well schooled. You know, he played at the University of Miami, but through the Cardinal organization, he had some good coaching, and he was a good pupil. That he really has learned how to play the game properly. And I thought maybe a little bit the first couple weeks he maybe regressed a little bit,
yeah,
but he wasn't playing that much.
Right.
You know, and now that he's getting an opportunity to play more, boy, has he been a delight offensively, defensively, and just a great teammate. When he's in the lineup, he's prepared and he's delivered. But when he's not in the lineup, he's there cheerleading and always ready for a late inning, whether it's defensively or coming in the clutch.
Perfect player to have in your club. 2-2 the count to the Cardinal left fielder John Jay. Off-speed pitch is bounce foul.
And I know there's a lot of people that have been excited about what he's done, and you know, when Berkman and Holiday are healthy, they wonder, well, what's his future? Well, his future is he's an excellent fourth outfielder, and to have that role, come off the bench or do whatever, you know, that he's going to be ready to play. But the way he keeps on swinging and playing, you know, at some point you got to say, well, maybe he's going to get a little bit more playing time.
Hard to keep him out of the lineup. Keeps producing as he has. Base hit up the middle for John Jay. Brings in Albert Pujols. Albert has 99 home runs here at Busch Stadium 3. Our Hyundai Foxmo takes us around the bases with John Jay. 99 home runs here.
Albert is trying to become the 8th active player to have 100 home runs in his existing home park. You know, he's well over 400, but 99 in this third version of Busch Stadium.
First pitch high to Albert. Walked and scored in the first, bounced out in the third.
Albert also 40 hits away from 2,000 in his career.
And a ton of home runs against the Cubs in his career. 47. That's a pretty good season. Dempster checks on Jay. Stole the base in the third, his 5th of the year. Albert swings through that one, and 1-1 is the count. Albert at 264.
You know, I'd like to see Albert hit more balls to the opposite field right now. Stay on the ball. You see that swing there, that produces where you're off balance, a lot of the rolling over on and hitting into the ground ball double play.
This ball hit deep to left. Back goes Montañez. Number 100 for Albert at Busch Stadium 3. Home run number 10 on the year. And Albert strikes again. Career home runs here at Busch Stadium 3. A lot of happy faces in that Cardinal dugout.
That is better than hitting the ball the right side. But even that one, he was a little off balance.
He sure was.
You know, but he got it up in the air and hits another magical home run.
So many great moments from Albert Pujols. And here's another one.
Now watch, it's a slider, but you see how he's out in front on that ball, but he got this one elevated, and he hits his, as you said, 12th home run. Or excuse me, 10th home run. His 2 more RBIs make it 33.
That one got out of here in a hurry.
Yeah, you see these line drives. You know, we got to getting some air underneath some of the balls. You know, where it is either ground balls or getting way underneath it. But we were missing the line drives. And when Albert hits the line drive, they'll go.
That one measured at 394. A little more than I thought. There's a bloop the other way. This should be a base hit for Berkman, and it is. Little flare to left. 3 straight hits for the Cardinals here to open the 5th inning. And it's 6-1 Cardinals with Berkman now at first base for Colby Rasmus.
Lance Berkman's always been a guy, particularly from the left side of the plate, that utilizes the field. And as a pitcher, when you got a guy that will spray the ball around, you cannot pitch him in one location. A dead pull hitter is so easy to pitch to. But a guy that will take it to all fields, then you can't stay in one location.
Makes me think of Tony Gwynn, who's maybe as good as anybody that I pitched against in terms of using the field. And the classic book on Tony Gwynn was
throw it down the middle.
Just throw it down the middle, because he gets confused by that. He's so used to driving the ball the other way. If you pitch him away and he turns on it, just throw it down the middle and hope for the best.
Right. You know, and I mean, it just makes sense, because he pitch him inside, he knows how to turn on that ball. You pitch him away, he can inside out, or he can do all kinds of different ways. But in the ball in the middle of the plate, he didn't know how to do that. You know, which swing do I do? Which Hall of Fame swing do I give you?
Great pitch recognition, and that's what Lance Berkman has. Lance Berkman, one of the top on-base percentage guys in the history of this game. In fact, he's ranked 37th all time. Anybody's ever played this game, that means he walks his share, but he also can hit.
I was just going to say, they have a common denominator: great plate discipline. They understand the strike zone, so you can't get them to expand their zone.
Pop foul and out of play. We mentioned that Albert had hit Dempster well. He'd had 6 home runs, now 7 against Ryan Dempster. That's the most home runs he's had against any one single pitcher. The Cardinals, of course, play the Cubs a lot, and Dempster has seen Albert a lot. The average not so high, but the power has been there. 92 pitches, 58 for strikes, as he's working here in the home half of the 5th.
One of the things that's happened to the Cardinals recently is Cardinals have gotten away from having a starter go so deep into a game, and that's been part of the Cubs' problem. Is they've been using that bullpen a lot more innings than what they would like.
The 2-2 is high, and very interesting makeup of this Cubs bullpen. They've got Kerry Wood and Carlos Marmol from the right side, and they've got 4 left-handers. I don't remember the last time I saw 4 left-handers in a bullpen.
No, it's, I mean,
imagine that conversation now.
Yeah, most managers would find it an extreme luxury to have 3.
Full count to Rasmus, not going. Fouled straight back.
Of course, out of those left-handers, you got your long men in those down there in the left-hand side of your bullpen, because Kerry Wood and Marmol are short.
And pretty good.
And good. But every team's Achilles heels is to get into that bullpen early. Everybody can give you a pretty good 8th and 7th, 8th and 9th inning.
Handled by Pena. Tough play to second, back to first. Very nifty double play. 3-6-3. He's got some gold in his house. Gold Glove winner in 2008. And he turns a very nice double play. That brings in Yadier Molina. What's on tap tomorrow on Big Fox? Randy Wells 1-1. Kyle Loesch 7-2 for the Cardinals. Brought to you by Budweiser. 3 o'clock start. Kyle Loesch has been outstanding this year. A lot of folks wondering whether he can continue doing that, Al, and why not?
Why not? You know, he's healthy. Keeps himself in good shape. He's excited about what is going on, but he's got his feet well grounded. Working hard to maintain what he started out. And I think he's due for a little good luck after the last 2 injury-plagued seasons.
One strike pitch to Molina is fouled off. You made a good point out. We were talking about last night's game and still hadn't had a chance to ask Tony about his use of Jake Westbrook in the 8th inning, but you mentioned Kyle Loesch would have been a pretty good choice.
Well, we've seen Kyle Loesch. We've seen McClellan pinch hit. Obviously, Kyle was on the disabled list, and we've also seen Jaime Garcia get that, but it was a left-handed pitcher, so you rule him out. But why Westbrook over Loesch? Loesch is a very good athlete. Not that Westbrook's not, but remember, he's been
in the American League
until last year. He was always in the American League.
1-2 to Molina. 2-2. Cardinals sent out Michael Clado, who pitched yesterday, and Pete Kozma. Kozma really to get some at-bats in AAA. Wasn't getting enough here, and they made a move to send up 2 players. Matt Carpenter hits from the left side, and Mark Hamilton is back after doing very well in AAA after getting sent down.
And really, it's the betterment of both those young players for their development.
No doubt.
Clado, you could see, and the word that comes to mind is potential.
Right.
But you can also see he's not ready.
That was pretty clear. Nice to throw 98, though. Highest average in team wins this season with a minimum of 60 plate appearances. Yadier Molina, National League rank #1 at 422. Alan Craig and Berkman not far behind.
And nice to have 3 on that list.
Oh, yeah. That was 0-2, and Yadier eventually works out a walk. He's been on base all 3 times, and now the pitch count continues to climb for Ryan Dempster, who's just trying to make it through this 5th inning. And you mentioned getting into the bullpen, Al, and the Cardinals are pretty close to doing just that.
Well, with today, with pitch counts and the way this game's going, it's pretty hard to say that he's going to come out after this inning. Possibly, but at the very least, and there's Russell, James Russell. His dad was a big league pitcher. One time there were no pitch counts. One time, starters, what they started, they had to finish, and if the game was still going on into extra innings, a lot of times that starting pitcher pitching effectively, he stayed out there.
Ball 1 to Schumacher, and I can just hear all the new school younger people telling old guys like you, yeah, at one time they used to go to games on trains too. Just to make us feel old, Al.
Well, just to make people feel young, there's a lot of Cardinal fans that take the train to Chicago.
That's right. People still do that.
Yes.
Always a great trip, isn't it? Love going to Chicago. And the Cub fans love coming here too. Very great and amiable rivalry, I would say, compared to some of the rivalries in sports. This is one that has been great to be a part of and see the fans kind of respond. And we always see Cub and Cardinal fans sitting together, husband, wives, 2 kids maybe from the same family wearing different uniforms.
In my mind, as a baseball fan, it is the best rivalry because it is so friendly. And it is a rivalry that, and I think you would agree with this, that even though there have been heated moments, and in my era you didn't like the Cubs and things aren't quite that way now, but it's a rivalry that the fans get more out of it than the players.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's good. And where the Yankees in Boston, it's not like you want to take your family.
Right.
The same thing with the Dodgers and Giants. But this one is just really fun.
1-2 fouled off. Schumacher stays alive. Skip is 0 for 2, looking for his first hit, the Cardinals' 9th against Dempster.
And I know we always recommend to Cardinal fans, if you've never gone to Chicago, to go and take in a Cardinal Cub rivalry. And I think the last few years we're seeing more and more of the Cub fans coming down here.
Cubs begin play in 5th place, 8 games out in the National League Central. The Cardinals 2 games up on Milwaukee, 8 games over 500. Looking to win game 1 of this series. They're enjoying a 6-1 lead. Swing and a miss in the dirt, gets away from Soto. He'll have to throw out Schumacher, and he does. And the Cardinals are through in the 5th, but they strike twice more, thanks to number 5. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Jack in the Box, where right now you can get the new bourbon barbecue steak grilled sandwich at participating restaurants. And by Kia. That's Derek Johnson. He's in charge, working outside of Busch Stadium. Always a friendly face. A lot of great folks working here at the ballpark, trying to make your baseball experience more enjoyable. Derek, one of those gentlemen. We appreciate his fine work, and we certainly appreciate the work of Jaime Garcia. 5 strong innings, allowing just 1 hit and 1 run, and he will face a pinch hitter. And
Campana.
Tony Campana.
Another guy not really big, 6 for 24, 12 games this season. As they have 13 homegrown players currently on their roster. A lot of injuries for the Cubs.
Campana runs well.
He was selected from Iowa AAA on May 17th. 5 for 16, a .313 average against right-handers, compared to his 125, 1 for 8 against lefties, 1 for 9.
You better hurry. Schumacher throws him out by a half a step.
Good to see him hustle, though.
Next week he'll start shaving.
Or buy a cat. Put a little milk on the face, and you don't have to buy razor blades.
Sage advice from Al Raboski. Kosuke Fukudome is 0 for 2. 3 left-handed batters in the starting lineup for the Cubs tonight. And they are a combined 0 for 5. Garcia has been very tough on left-handed batters. Not very many hits and very few extra base hits from the left side.
That's it. You know, really not many extra base hits, period. Has allowed 4 home runs. Part of that was his last outing in Colorado, but he has really kept opponents to a .248 average, which really isn't real, you know, high, I mean real low for how effective he has pitched.
It's going to be a tough play for Garcia. Gloves it, quick throw, and he's out. Albert hangs on. Snow cone, but he hung on. Wow.
Pulled his arm out of his socket as he's thrown his best fastball to Albert.
And somehow kept his foot on the bag.
He's still stretching out. Pounce on that ball. Spin and throw, and the wide throw, he holds on. Actually got more glove, or more of the bag with his foot than he did with the glove. And somehow he stretches out there, holds on both with the bag with his foot and the ball with his glove. Had to kind of curl the glove hand around and just maintain and hold on to the ball.
Garcia has a habit, Al, of touching the dirt after every single pitch that he throws. There's a ball in the dirt. He's going to get the ball back, tug on his belt, catch it. There it goes with the dirt. Pitchers all have their own little idiosyncrasies.
You don't have to do sit-ups that way.
He got 2 that time.
That's his way of doing sit-ups.
Doing some ab work?
His ab work.
Okay. Ground ball back to Garcia. That's enough ab work for 1/2 inning. 1, 2, 3 inning. 3 little harmless ground balls. Garcia through 6. Fox Sports Midwest would like to thank all the volunteers at our Mission Continues project last week in Rolla. To watch a recap of the volunteers and my partner Al Raboski renovating the Able Senior Citizen Center, tune in to Toyota Cardinals Live on Sunday at 12:30. And Al, I know that was a meaningful thing for you to be a part of.
It really was. Not only did you have a lot of veterans come out and do a lot of painting, they put these furniture together, but they actually had some of the active service members come from Fort Leonard Wood. And then there were some, there were some school-age kids that came over. But there's the viewing room, one of the rooms they renovated, did a lot of landscape out there. Everyone had a great time, and I think it's the 25th. We're going to be going to Hannibal.
Our Chevy call to the bullpen is the left-hander James Russell.
Now he's their long man now, and he did make a few starts. See, he's already got 5 losses, 0-5, 9.33 ERA, 7 home runs allowed, 5 walks, 10 strikeouts in his 5 starts.
And he's 0-2 on Daniel Descalzo, and now 0-3, which means Descalzo's a strikeout victim for the first time. 1 out in the Cardinals' 6th. Do you have a car and love baseball? Then don't miss discounted Cardinal tickets from Phillips 66 Gas when you fill up with 10 gallons or more. For complete details, stop by your local station or visit cardinals.com/Phillips66.
Hey, big shout out to our good buddy Big Dog. Understand he got some good news today. Let's just hope that continues and get well. We'll see him soon, but good news, and it brought a smile to all of our faces. One of our big crew members.
We love Big Dog, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Everybody loves Big Dog. Even the Cub fans love Big Dog. 0-2 to Jaime Garcia. Garcia's 0-for-1 with a sacrifice, but more importantly, 6 solid innings. Just 1 hit allowed. Almost the kind of game out where you just kind of hope he doesn't get a hit and have to go out and run the bases. Very, very warm temperatures here tonight at Busch Stadium, and the crowd is really feeling the heat here.
Ricky's talking about there are times when you're pitching so well that you almost go, hey, I got enough runs. I don't want any long delays. I just want to get back out there and do my work.
Garcia, see, wanted it to be strike 3. Come on. He's begging, please.
Umpires always love that. Come back here and hit.
He did that on cue, didn't he? 2-2. Now you can go sit down. Saw Bruce Sutter get a hit here at Busch Stadium, or the old Busch Stadium, and then scream at himself the whole way down the line. Tomorrow's broadcast is on AFN. Actually, today's broadcast, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces serving in 175 countries and abroad. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. Welcome to the telecast.
Thank you so much for your service, and I'm going to be quite honored tomorrow to speak at the Army Ball.
And you got something for him, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
That is an honor, Al.
I've had the pleasure of
base hit up the middle by Terrio.
Last year as a guest speaker at the Navy's birthday party, 235th anniversary of the Navy. Did that, been to the Marines, and tomorrow night will be the Army. Right back up the middle. And Terrio, another multi-hit game. Earlier, he led off this game, extending his hitting streak to 17, career high.
John Jay is 1-for-1 officially. He's also walked and had a sacrifice. Scored a run in the 5th inning. Average up to 342. Very quietly just keeps climbing too. Funny how, I saw the same thing in John Jay that you were talking about earlier in the telecast, when after he'd had his big splash, he seemed to get overmatched by certain pitchers, where you thought, okay, maybe he's regressed some, maybe he's not the guy we thought he was, but he sure has bounced back from that. Hit 300 his rookie season.
Just constant adjustments. This game now is scrutinized so much, every game on videos, so if they can detect a little weakness or a spot where you can be pitched to, they'll find it, and then it's up to you to make the adjustment to handle that location.
I think a little bit of that's going on with Daniel Descalzo right now. He has not been quite as good in the last week or so, although he has had a 5-hit homestand. He's still not, maybe he's overpowered by some of the nastier pitchers in the National League. Of course, a lot of people.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's not uncommon. And whether you're a rookie or you're a veteran, that sometimes that happens.
That is true.
And then you can't figure out why a marginal or barely marginal hitter will sometimes have an ability to hit one of the most elite pitchers in the game, but nobody else can.
The 2-2. Full count. Terrio will be running. Pena will back up behind the runner Terrio. Another 2-hit night for him. Make sure the pitcher Russell goes home. He takes off. The pitch to Jay is fouled off. We'll have to do it again.
One of the reasons why John Jay gives you that very competitive bat, even against left-handed pitchers, is because he sprays the ball around, and he takes a lot of pitches that are out away from him to the opposite field. Front shoulder is so important for a pitcher, same as a hitter.
Full count and strike 3. John Jay doesn't like the call, but James Russell is through the 6th. 6-1 is our score in St. Louis. 6-1 Cardinals, top of the 7th inning at Busch Stadium. Our Verizon game recap. Ryan Dempster has been outpitched by Jaime Garcia. Garcia just 1 hit and 1 run in 6 innings of work. Albert Pujols with his 100th career home run here at Busch Stadium. 3, and Lance Berkman also made a contribution. Full house here at Busch Stadium. Warm evening, but great baseball. The Cubs are in town.
Great atmosphere, fun game, and Jaime is in command. Good curveball there. It just sounds so simplified, but the starting pitcher sets the tone. You saw that graphic, and Jaime outpitching Dempster.
That's the difference.
It really is. And
Al, a team that you'd have to say, in watching the games against the San Francisco Giants to begin this homestand, Cardinals did not look very good. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but the team just looked like they weren't playing well. They weren't fielding well, not making a lot of errors necessarily, but just didn't look sharp. And there's a sharp play. Terrio to Pujols. He digs it out. Albert's had a very busy day over at first base.
Well, Albert's couple gold gloves on his mantle and looking for a third. Nice scoop right there. Get that ball out in front. You can get a nice true hop, and Albert, with a very soft hands, is very comfortable over there. How about in the series where your superstar Albert Pujols once again volunteers to go to third base to put a better lineup up?
There's a base hit for Soto. He struck out twice, now singles up the middle.
He was 2 for 2 off of Jaime coming into tonight's action, and coming off the disables list, his timing's probably a little bit off. It was a good matchup.
Oh boy, looking forward to that Sunday matchup with Zambrano and Chris Carpenter. Zambrano almost single-handedly sent the Cardinals into a tailspin in 2010 with his gem here at Busch Stadium after really being banished for a month or so by Lou Piniella.
That's right. We talked a little bit about it in the opening, how Cubs, their last 5 games against the Cardinals here at Busch Stadium, were 5-0 and just absolutely dominated Cardinals in every aspect of the game. But Cardinals came off that sweep in Cincinnati early September. Zambrano banished to the bullpen, making his first start, and he pitched a gem. And as you said, he had a little help from his teammates, but they swept that series against the Cardinals, and for all intents and purposes, the Cardinal season went right down the drain. What looked to be a perfect scenario for another postseason run for Tony La Russa. You know, they never recovered from the Zambrano game.
One of those guys on the Cubs that always seems to do damage to the Cardinals, not in action, and that's Aramis Ramirez. And with between Soriano, Bird, Ramirez, Reed Johnson, Jeff Baker, I'd say Ramirez is the guy that has done the most damage against the Cardinals over the years, and he's the one that they sorely miss. He got hit in the face on a ground ball. He's trying to do a backhand play against the Astros. Brett Wallace hit a ball down the line. It came up, hit him in the lip, and he had a laceration, and he's not in the lineup tonight. Not sure when he'll be back. He is not on the disabled list, so you'd have to believe he's at least available to pinch hit.
Sure, kind of one of those injuries you miss a few days, but not long enough to stay on the DL or put on the DL.
Peñas takes strike 3. Strikeout number 8 for Jaime Garcia. And this one was looking.
Well, look at you see where set up away and right there, because he's always around the plate, he'll get those extra spots. He'll get the, you know, the benefit of the doubt from an umpire. It's a good example of soft hands from Molina.
They both earned it. Pitch count by innings. Only the 5th has been a bit of a labor intensive inning for Garcia. Everything else has been very smooth. You'd like to be 12 to 15 pitches per inning. And
but you know what's amazing, and you know, we've always kind of I always thought 12 was the, you know, really a great standard. Duncan will say inside of 15, but you know, now that they come out with that that stat about innings pitched per inning, you know, I mean, is there anything they don't cover stat-wise?
I don't think so. Ball hit well to right field. Berkman on the run and makes the play. Nice running grab by Lance Berkman to help out Jaime Garcia. Time to stretch. 6-1 Cardinals. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light Lime. The just right taste of Bud Light with a refreshing splash of 100% natural lime flavor. By Bank of America, where ATM deposits are as easy as an infield fly. No deposit slip, no envelope with Bank of America, member FDIC. And by AT&T. Festive night. Downtown St. Louis, Busch Stadium. Cardinals enjoying a 6-1 lead. And Albert Pujols will face the Cubs' 3rd pitcher of the night, right-hander Rodrigo Lopez. And he is our Chevy dealer's call to the bullpen.
It's only his 2nd appearance. The first one was a start, and apparently 4 2/3 innings in that start.
Popped over the Cardinal dugout and out of play. 1-1. Cardinals are 265 and 108 all time.
How about that 710 winning percentage?
Yeah, that's pretty good. 4-4 this season.
That just doesn't compute, does it?
It does not. How about another one? I'm getting greedy. Let's start working on that 200.
I know we were talking about pitches per inning. I think, you know, I think when you're at like 14, you're right in the top. You average 14 pitches.
The 3-1. Hit hard up the middle, but handled by the shortstop Castro, and he throws out Albert. He's now 1 for 3. And the pitch number, Al, is going to depend a lot on whether or not you're a strikeout pitcher, too.
True. But Mike
Chris
Gillen,
Carpenter's last start as an example.
Yeah, and you know, that's why if you're a big, strong strikeout guy, you can't expect them to be under 100 pitches because it's almost impossible. Berkman really got things started with his 3-run home run back in the first inning.
Strike one at the knees.
Mike Helling was listening to an interview today about an author that wrote a book about Warren Spahn and Marichal. They both, through complete games, went 16 innings. and they're on a 4-man rotation, probably through batting practice in between.
A different time. 1-1 is fouled off. Lance Berkman ignited this crowd in inning number 1 with the swing of the bat. Home run number 12 off of Ryan Dempster.
Got that ball up out over the plate, and Lance knew what to do with it.
The 1-2 to Berkman. Curveball. He had to try to spoil that one, and he did. Berkman also singled in the 5th inning. And we mentioned that his average had been going in a southerly direction, but up to 335 now. RBIs at 39, and he's been up among the league leaders all season long, setting the pace. The 1-2 from Lopez hit on the ground to Barney. And Barney takes care of Berkman. 2 ground ball outs.
If somebody would have told you June 3rd that Berkman would have the numbers that he has,
take it.
Nobody would have believed it. Knew he'd probably be pretty good, but not this good. Jaime's only thrown 81 pitches tonight through his 7 innings of outstanding work, 2 hits allowed. And he has 8 strikeouts, but you know, it's pretty rare to have 8 strikeouts and still have 81 pitches through 7.
When he gets 0-2, he goes right at you, doesn't he?
Why not? Got his stuff.
This pitcher has always reminded me a little bit of Greg Maddux. We've seen him before. Not quite the same in terms of ability, but Greg Maddux actually one of his favorite pitchers when he was growing up, and I think he maybe has copied his style a bit.
I see what you're talking about until he releases the ball.
I would agree. The follow through is different. Well, and the speed and the velocity and the movement and the location.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But other
more.
than that,
yeah, other than that, he's perfect.
Right. Other than that, he's a Hall of Famer.
Another final note on Jaime's 81 pitches, only 21 balls.
I believe he's already answered the question.
Yeah, that
whether
he can bounce back. Another side note to the 2 complete games by Warren Spahn at age 42 and Marichal at 25, throwing a complete game on both sides of a 16-inning affair. But how about, I played for Warren Spahn. He was the AAA manager of the Cardinals, and Del Crandall was also in the league, was managing. And kind of as a stunt, they faced each other, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, this is when they'd already been retired both 12 years or so. And you would have thought these guys thought they were 18 out there still trying to compete.
Bob Feller was always like that. You saw
yeah.
Bob Feller would throw batting practice as a kind of a charity thing, and he would go around to minor league ballparks and throw, and you could say he'd still throw 90. And I still remember Steve Braun was one of our players in AAA.
You told me the story. It's great.
He dressed up, he put his street clothes on, went out and pretended he was just kind of with the group of fans and hit a line drive off his kneecap. There's a line drive to the right fielder. Cardinals strand a runner. We're through 7. Good news so far. Next time you want to catch a Cardinals game, head to StubHub, where you'll find the seats you want and the freedom to choose where you want to sit. StubHub is the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Happy birthday to Pat Wittenberg from Chesterfield, Missouri. Pat's celebrating her 81st birthday. Happy birthday, Pat, and thanks for being part of Cardinal Nation.
Tyler Green takes over at second base, and Skip Schumacher moves to right field. Green will hit in the 4th spot, and Garcia out for the 8th inning. Great words to say if you're Dave Duncan. Great words to hear if you're Dave Duncan. Garcia out for the 8th inning.
Very much so. Cardinals at times this year have been so good at going deep. Their starters going deep, trying to find innings for the bullpen. Then we've had this little rut where the starters were not going deep. Your bullpen gets overworked. But right now it's a perfect combination. A great starting effort, a lot of good offense.
Popped up, could be out of play. Molina gives chase. Yadier Molina gave chase to that ball. We mentioned that June 3rd, 2004 was the debut of Yadier Molina. Had an impact in that game, and what a great Cardinal he has been since that day. He has developed into not only a great catcher, but very, very potent with the bat. All-star, Gold Glove, you name it.
Molina's batting .324, up amongst the league leaders now. He's already won 3 Gold Gloves, and he probably won 2 or 3 of them before they gave him his first. But he was the best catcher in the National League almost immediately. And
boy, you're right about
it
that.
Says something about, remember, he replaced Mike Matheny, who was an outstanding Gold Glove catcher in his own right.
Line drive to left. John Jay makes the play. Wow. Great jump, great hands. The athleticism of John Jay to start the 8th. Wow, that was a fun play.
Coming off the bat of a left-handed hitter, is going to kind of slice back to him a little bit. Took a couple steps to his left, then he kind of located it and reaches up in the last second and hauls it in. Surprised him as that ball took off a little bit, but the tough play, those line drives coming right at you, got to get a little bit to the side, and then you can see the height and make the judgment to where and how to catch it.
Nice stop by Green, and the throw not in time.
Nice play by Tyler Green, and old-fashioned throw there like a turf throw. But he did that by design, throwing it so far out from Albert that he get a true hop. But DJ has a good speed.
We talked about the Gold Gloves of Yadier Molina, and we talked about the legacy of Mike Matheny, his legacy with Tom Pagnozzi, also a 3-time Gold Glove winner, 91, 92, and 94. Matheny 3 times in the early 2000s, and Yadier Molina has just taken over.
Well, like you said, he came up in 04 talking about Molina, and that was Matheny won the Gold Glove in 04, and then basically, you know, it was a tough decision, but you basically said, well, we got to move on. We got to go with the youth movement, bring in this young, very talented catcher. I think they knew that he was going to be very, very special defensively, but he has really developed as an offensive player. And really his handling and how dedicated he is to the preparation, the work before a game. I think that is not that it surprised the coaching staff, but right now they feel they got the perfect guy behind the plate.
Blake DeWitt, the pinch hitter. Ground ball up the middle and another base hit. And what a great piece that was about Yadier Molina's visit with the youngster who is dealing with very difficult medical issues from Puerto Rico, and Yadi on the field with him. Dan McLaughlin's piece on Yadi was just outstanding in our pregame. Justin Mendez, and what a magical moment that was.
Now they'll slow him out. Dave will come out here, give the bullpen activity. It looks like Sanchez throwing, but you know that young man from Puerto Rico that Jaime had read about him, and excuse me, Molina had read about him and brought he and his family here. You know, he's dealing with a critical situation, and You know, his dream was to be a major leaguer. So for that day, Yachty made his dream come through.
Great.
And then Yachty hit was 3 for 4.
Had a great day. Yes,
great
he
day.
did.
And
Brought
the
him
kid
out.
was part of the winning celebration
Yeah.
out on the field.
How about that?
Very, very special.
Molina has been a great pro, and amazing in that piece that Albert Pujols said, you know, Yachty is a kid. He still calls him a kid. He's not a kid anymore.
No, they're great friends, but a tremendous tribute what Albert said about Yachty. Said that Yachty, you know, has developed into a very good hitter, as we said, but he doesn't care one thing about what he does offensively. It's all about, does the team win? He can go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts and the team wins. He's the happiest guy in the clubhouse.
Lofted into left field, right in the tracks of John Jay. Out number 2. Fukudome is 0 for 4.
Mickey, when you pitch a game like Jaime's pitching, you've got to be able to walk off at the end of an inning. You know, you don't want to be relieved in this game, so it's crucial that he gets this out right here. Still only 91 pitches.
Garcia bats 3rd in the bottom of the 8th. Could be his last inning, not necessarily. A couple runners aboard for Chicago. Fastball at the knees. Strike 1 again, this time to Darwin Barney. Good strike zone tonight, DJ Rayburn.
You know it's been a good strike zone because we haven't mentioned his name.
Now that I mentioned his name, is he going to get crazy with the strike zone?
No, we're paying tribute to him. Jaime doesn't like that rosin bag, but sure does like the mound dirt.
Did you like that texture? Dirt on a baseball?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I wasn't crazy about the rosin bag. Nice going.
Al, you weren't crazy about the rosin bag, but you sure were crazy. Fly out to center. Garcia, as Al said, gets to walk off the mound after 8 innings of work. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. John Graybo, 4th Cub pitcher of the night. ERA just over 4. Game number 23 for the left-hander. Again, a bullpen with a lot of left-handers, 4 of them in fact. And strike 1 to Skip Schumacher.
And a 1.5 ERA in his first 12 outings at Wrigley Field, Graybo.
Schumacher bounces out 4-3. He's 0 for 4. Daniel Descalzo will take his turn, and Alan Craig in the on-deck circle will bat for Jaime Garcia. So his night is through.
So at the end of the inning, Tony met him into the dugout with a handshake. So not surprising to me after he allowed the 1 run that you give an inning to the bullpen.
Lazy fly ball to center, handled by Colvin, and quite a contrast for Garcia from his last start on Saturday in Colorado. That was just such a rough outing. 3 1/3 innings, 11 earned runs. Did have 6 strikeouts in that game, and that's about the only positive you can say.
I think he gave up 12 runs for the season prior to that last start. So his ERA more than doubled. But he showed you how well he's pitched all season long, discounting that last start tonight. And here's another guy that has really seized the opportunity. Injuries have given Alan Craig more playing time, and he has really responded.
Last 2 weeks, he has the highest average in the National League, Alan Craig, at 469. Strike 1 to Craig. 2 for 7 off the bench. His pinch hit home run off of Tim Lincecum was one of the big thrills of this season so far.
That's right. You mentioned the National League best, 465 average since May 19th.
Unfortunately, that was a thrill, Al, that came in a loss.
Right. Well, at the time, it gave us all a thrill.
Nothing thrilling about this fly ball to right field. Little meeting between Colvin and the right fielder Fukudome. Sanchez next.
Cardinals up 6-1 as we go to the 9th in St. Louis. Coming up after the game on the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Pat Paris and Rick Horton will be at the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill at Lumiere Place. Jaime's Friday Night Magic, Albert's Historic Blast, and somebody's going home with a hungo tonight. Eduardo Sanchez on to pitch for the Cards, and we go back to the booth and back to Rick and Al, guys.
Thank you, Jim Hayes. Rick Horton with Al Roboski and Eduardo Sanchez, the very electric right-handed reliever. The rookie for the Cardinals takes over for the 9th inning. Outstanding work by Jaime Garcia. 8 solid innings, 1 run, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. Sanchez has been pretty good himself.
He really has been. You know, he's just appearing for the 20th time. He was recalled on April the 13th. The only thing I worry about, are you going to wear out Sanchez and Salas?
And it's time to visit and revisit our 5 and 55. Terrio, Rasmus, Berkman, Castro, and Pena.
Well, we wanted to see Terrio extend his hitting streak. He did so. Kobe, who had the big 6 RBIs yesterday, comes up nothing. Berkman, we said, was 0 for 13, had the day off. We thought his battery was recharged. He's got 2 hits and a big 3-run home run in the first. We talked about how Castro has hit the Cardinals well, but not in this ballpark. And Pena was just 2 for 40 off of left-handed pitchers.
Garcia very tough on left-handers. And when Sanchez is right, he's tough on anybody. The good, strong fastball. He's got that very sharp breaking ball. He'll face the middle of the order, Starlin Castro. 0 for 3 and strike 1. That strike 1 so important for Sanchez.
It really is, because there have been at times where he has trouble locating his fastball, almost as if his slider is a swing and miss pitch, where he has more confidence in throwing that for strikes as he misses with the slider.
On cue, right?
Absolutely. Average down a couple points to 309.
Swing and a miss.
There's this swing and miss slider.
You know, Castro, Al, had such a good rookie season. He had 300, as did John Jay. Tough to be the 3rd batter in an order your 2nd year in the big leagues and be asked to carry the offense.
Well, I think that's, you know, kind of an indication with missing all the big bats with injury. Here's a kid that you see at the beginning of the order and now having to bat 3rd. And how about, and you know, I'm playing a tough, demanding position as shortstop also. He was just absolutely carved up. That slider right there, he tried to swing when it was in the catcher's glove.
That was nasty. Way late on that. That's the great slider of Eduardo Sanchez. Now we'll face Giovanni Soto, who is 1 for 3. He singled in the 7th inning. One of just 4 Cub hits on the night. This whole race is going to be great all summer long. Not just this rivalry with the Cubs, Al, but only one team in baseball is more than 10 games out right now. A lot of close races. Sure. The National League West.
And I think too that, you know, if the Cubs can get their guys off the DL,
they're not a bad team.
Healthy,
they shouldn't be.
They should be, you know, make a statement, and more so than just a spoiler. You know, I thought it would be a 4-team race. The Pirates are surprising people, but I think everyone thought the Cubs would be better. And you know, because of the injuries, you know, it's not fair to say they're not playing to their level. They just, Mike Guadi just doesn't have the regulars out there, or the team that he projected.
Hard to win without your horses. There's a long one to center field. Rasmus is going to run it down though in the warning track, and the Cardinals just 1 out away. Our Budweiser player of the game, not hard to pick, Jaime Garcia.
You look at that line and how nice it is, but in your back of your mind, you're looking for perfection, and you go, I walked one, and that guy comes around to score. That's one of the things that you kind of do a little critique of yourself.
Cardinal fans love it when there's an opportunity to beat the Cubs. On their feet, 40,419, 90+ degrees, and they've loved every minute of it, and I think we've turned a Cub fan. Mom, is it okay?
He's a wannabe.
Is it okay for me to clap, Mom?
He's a wannabe Cardinal fan.
Oh, that's
He's
great.
wearing red. He thought that C was for Cardinals.
Sanchez 1 out away.
We're also seen at times where the 27th out has been a bit elusive for Sanchez.
Finish the job. 1-0 pitch hit on the right side. Base hit for Carlos Pena. His first hit of the night. And the Cubs still have a life.
Do you have a little concern that Sanchez and Salas will break down or wear out over the course of the year?
Well, and you know, it is maybe better, Al, that there's 2 of them. I think that's a good thing because they can maybe take the pressure off each other. Lou Montañez bats with 2 outs.
Jaime goes 8 innings. You got a 5-run lead. Sanchez hadn't pitched since June the 1st, but they have really been active.
And Sanchez in particular is kind of a all or nothing guy. He's just a 100% guy. He's not really picking and flipping up pitches. He's just, I mean, he is 100% max effort guy.
Yeah, and I like the aspect that it really does appear that he has that elasticity, the rubber arm, to where he can come back night after night. But this, you know, he will be experiencing in September the first time he's ever pitched in September also.
There goes the runner. Slider misses. Defensive indifference. Pena to second. Two 1 right down central. 2-2. 1 strike away. Garcia hoping to go 6-1. Watching, hoping.
It was a ball, but some umpire, being fair, calls it correctly.
Cubs down to their last strike. The 3-2. Popped into center field. In comes Rasmus. Cardinals win. Garcia does indeed go to 6-1. Very nice win all the way around, Al.
Good ball game. Set the tone with Garcia. Bounce back game was brilliant. And a lot of great timely hitting. Nice victory. Good ball game for the Cardinals.
Garcia the winner. The first timely hit was delivered by Lance Berkman. Home run number 12 for him. It was a 3-run shot in the first. Albert Pujols then delivered in the 5th inning. His 100th here at Busch Stadium. Jaime Garcia on the mound for the Redbirds was outstanding. 8 strikeouts, low pitch count, and a great comeback for Garcia. Cardinals win game 1. Postgame is next on Fox Sports Midwest.
The game is over with the Cardinals' impressive win over the Cubs and a terrific start by Jaime Garcia. We're just getting started on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Rick Horton will join me shortly here at the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill, Lumiere Place. Redbirds welcoming the Cubs to St. Louis. for the first time this season, and the Cards are able to tame the Baby Bears tonight over at Busch. Jaime Garcia, able to bounce back from his worst start of his young career, will break down his return to form, and we'll take you back over to Busch Stadium for Cardinal player reaction, plus plenty of Tony TV. It's Friday night, which means someone's taking home the Hungo Award as well. It's the anniversary of Casey at the bat, and that's always joy in Mudville here on Missouri Lottery, Cardinals Live.
Welcome to Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live.
Cardinals scuffling a bit heading into this game against the Cubs tonight, but Lance Berkman gets them started in style, a 3-run shot in the first, and then Albert Pujols a 2-run blast in the fifth, a line drive home run. It all adds up behind a Jaime Garcia outstanding start to a 6-1 victory for the Cardinals over the Cubs at Busch Stadium. We are live at the brand new Stadium Sports Bar and Grill at Lumiere Place, our weekend home for Cardinals Live after every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday home game at Busch Stadium. Hello, everybody, and welcome inside the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill at Lumiere Place for this post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. I'm Pat Paris. I'll be joined shortly by Rick Horton, who's making his way over from Busch Stadium. Coming up, we'll take it back to Busch. Tony La Russa's post-game thoughts, plenty of player reaction. We're going to break down Jaime's performance this evening against the Cubs, and we'll tell you how another young pitcher did as Shelby Miller makes his Double-A debut tonight. Also, don't forget to tweet at us. So we're taking your tweets at FS Midwest. That's our Twitter account. We're also continuing to take suggestions about what our Twitter segment should be called as we answer your Cardinal questions and comments. Rick and I will get to those a little later on Cardinals Live. Let's get things started by heading right back over to Busch Stadium because our Jimmy the Cat Hayes moments ago went one-on-one with our Mid-America Chevrolet Dealers player of the game. That's Lance Berkman. Cat?
A couple of hits in this one for Lance Berkman, including a 3-run homer that opened the Cardinals scoring in the first. After dropping 3 or 4 to San Francisco to jump out against the Cubs like this, I assume that was part of the plan.
Well, I mean, you know, it's just good to get a win, and, you know, we knew we had Jaime going, so you're just trying to give him a few runs to work with early there, and it worked out good for us, and it's just big to come back from a pretty disappointing series.
You've had some success against Dempster in your career. Anything you look to do against him?
You know, he's pretty tough. I mean, I may have gotten a few hits against him, but he's a real competitor, and, you know, he always does a great job of mixing his pitches, and I wasn't really looking for anything in particular there. I think he just kind of made a mistake with the fastball, and I was able to hit it.
Tony likes to rest his guys. You're the first to say, I'm not 40 and I'm not made of glass, but you were in and over 13. You got a night off last night. Does that help you? Can you feel the difference at all?
I thought it was a 12, over 12, but maybe it was.
I'll check the numbers.
No, but, you know, not really. It's just, it's good to, it's a cumulative thing. It's not, you know, maybe a one-day fix, but if you can kind of pace yourself throughout the course of a long season, you keep from getting too run down. And, you know, physically for me, that's a great thing. And it's good that we have the roster to be able to do that. I mean, we have so many guys that there's really no drop-off. I mean, you get John Jay or Alan Craig in there, and, I mean, those guys are great hitters.
Last thing, how about Jaime tonight?
Oh, just great. I mean, you know, had a little bit of a rough outing in Colorado. He's not the first pitcher to go in there and have a little bit of a rough one there, but he came back tonight, and, you know, that's the Jaime that he's been all year, and he was great again.
Good job. Thanks for the time.
All right, you got it.
Lance Berkman, we send it back to you.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks to Lance as well. From the field at Busch Stadium, it's back to the broadcast booth. The Mad Hungarian, a bit disappointed he's not here with me tonight at Lumiere Place, I'm sure, because we'd rather talk about wins than losses, Al, like you and I did last night. But plenty to talk about in tonight's game. You back over at Busch Stadium. And how about Jaime Garcia, and how about the offense, too, all adding up to a victory?
Well, thanks, Pat. All those things came through, but there was a game inside the game. The Cardinals were ahead 3-0, and when you have a runner at third base, you have to block the ball. Soto was not able to do it. The Cardinals score a run. At the time, I said, you really do appreciate the Cardinals' ability to block balls. Molina, 3-time Gold Glove winner, is the best. A much tougher play, And with the runner at third base, Yachty does his typical job. He blocks that ball and kept them off the scoreboard. It was a great outing for the Cardinals. A lot of timely hitting thanks to Berkman's 3-run home run in the first, and Jaime did all the rest. Back to you, Pat.
Yeah, now before we let you go, a clean game tonight. We didn't necessarily see errors last night, but we didn't see a cleanly played game by the Cardinals. That makes all the difference.
Yeah, it really is. And of course, the Cardinals defense has settled down the last couple weeks. They've been stuck on 37 errors for quite a while now. And now it's the Cubs that have the worst defense in the National League.
We like to hear that. Al, thanks very much. Do appreciate it. Let's show you all the highlights from tonight's game here on Fox Sports Midwest. Jaime Garcia coming off the worst outing of his young career, but he looks sharp early in this one. Strikes out Fukudome, swinging in just 3 pitches after allowing us 6 runs in the first inning his last start. Garcia sets the Cubs down in order tonight. Go to the bottom of the first, and Ryan Theriot, the batter, and how about this guy? He's able to send this one down the right field line just fair, and hustling all the way. Theriot winds up at second. The double extends his hitting streak now to 17 games, longest single-season streak by a Cardinal since 2007. Later in the inning, Lance Berkman, our player of the game, crushes the Ryan Dempster offering, a 3-run shot by Big Puma. 12th of the season, makes it 3-0. Just his 3rd homer at Busch this season. Bottom 4, Cardinals add to that lead. Theriot up with 2 runners on, and Dempster bounces one to the backstop. Here comes Skip Schumacher, extends the lead to 4-0. Jaime Garcia cruising. Let's go to the top of the 5th. The Cubs still looking for their first hit, and Lou Montañez gets it, lines one to the gap in right center. Carlos Pena, who had walked earlier, comes around to score. Montañez heads to third on the throw from Berkman that gets away. So the no-hitter, the shutout over, but the Cardinals still have that 4-1 lead, and Garcia is able to get out of it without any further damage. Bottom of the inning, Albert Pujols gets Garcia that run back and adds one more for good measure, a 2-run jack. 10th of the year for Pujols, 100th career home run at Busch Stadium 3, makes it 6-1, and that would be the good news final for the Cardinals as they take care of the Cubs. In fact, ending a 5-game winning streak for the Cubs at Busch Stadium. Don't like to hear that, don't like saying it, but it's now over. 6-1, the good news victory for the Cardinals. Tony La Russa has stepped to the podium. How about a little Tony TV brought to you by the Sheet Metal Workers, Local 36.
Tony, would you say Jaime was spectacular tonight?
I think he was. Command of all his pitches. You know, he didn't throw many balls in the middle of the plate, on the edges all the time, with a lot of different variations. He was outstanding. And the defense responded to that. They were outstanding as well.
From upstairs, it looked like he had the movement on the fastball again, too. Was that from your vantage point?
Yeah, I think he had movement with his hard stuff on both sides of the plate, and then he had an excellent changeup, some curveballs. I mean, he was in command all night long.
It was great to see him rebound and come back so strong.
Well, I mean, Bob Gibson didn't pitch 30 times and a shutout every game. I mean, you're going to have some tough starts, but he's already proven over a year and 2 months he's going to be a very tough character and doesn't get distracted. I mean, that's what you look for. You know, if you can get a crooked number up there early, it does make a pitcher have a chance to be more aggressive. Doesn't have to worry about making mistakes. So that was a big hit.
Do you perceive that Garcia having an extra day helped him, and also just Berkman having a night off helped him?
Well, I just, you know, it's warm. We've been playing. It's already in this, you know, I think I said before, you know, to me, you know, I just break the season down into 3 parts. First 2 months, middle 2 months, and the last 2 months. And I think this June, July are the toughest months to play. When you get in a pennant race, the last 2 months are fun, easy, but you get to watch the running down, mentally especially, and, you know, Jaime will get another extra day this time around probably. So, yeah, it's all money in the bank if you can give him a little extra time.
Albert's home run, his 100th career at Busch Stadium 3.
Yeah, and that was a bullet too. That's kind of he hit it so many times. Just line drives that carry forever. But you know, he had another ball hard up the middle. I'm sure we should have gotten that 3rd hit.
No, Albert wasn't using the cold weather as an excuse, but he's probably happy to see the temperature heat up a little bit.
Yeah. There's at least 5 or 6, you know, balls that went to the warning track that were struck home run style this part. Yeah, he doesn't complain. He just keeps hitting.
You gotta like how Terrio and Jay were setting the table on separate occasions, sacrificing base hits.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, like I said, thought we played a well-rounded game. You know, Ryan gets on, it's a double. You know, it's the old G Monk thing. You play for one and look up and get more than one. Happens a lot. But we wanted to mark early, and Albert got to walk in a big hit. But you know, Jay continues to sparkle in all phases. But we made a lot of good defensive plays. I mean, Terrio had a strong game of short. Just it was a fun game to play.
How do you plan on using Mark Hamilton and
Matt Carpenter?
Yeah, Matt Carpenter.
Well, you know, one reason we sent Mark down was to get at bats, and he went down and crazy. So, I mean, he's in a tough spot. You know, he's a first baseman. I talked to Chris Maloney. He's been playing some outfield. Played some outfield in college. So, I mean, I think we could do it. But we had some outfielders. We got Craig didn't play today. With Matt, you know, when he's over the weekend, maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday. If not, we go on a road trip. I'm going to give him a start at third base. You good?
Thanks.
So Tony La Russa wrapping up over at Busch Stadium. A little Tony TV here on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Rick Horton making his way over here from Busch Stadium. In fact, we're going to talk a little Albert Pujols as Ricky gets all set to go here. And Albert Pujols has certainly had a terrific career against Ryan Dempster, the Cubs starter tonight. And Rick, coming in, he'd hit 6 home runs off him. We're looking at plenty of handiwork by Albert Pujols, kind of like career numbers against a team, but it's actually against just one pitcher.
Just a hit, and you just see the ball better against him. Albert Pujols has a lot of guys like that, Pat, but certainly tonight a big home run, and so exciting to see him get that 100th home run, and wouldn't it be great to see him get back on track and just, you know, just hit like we've seen him hit over the years.
Absolutely, and 100th at Busch Stadium 3, and home run number 7 against Ryan Dempster, and it has been very impressive what Albert's been able to do against Dempster. In fact, don't forget Lance Berkman hit number 5 tonight off of Dempster. Talking Jaime Garcia when we continue on Cardinals Live.